Can you hear?
Please, my obeisances.
We're very excited and honored to have our dear godbrother Ramachandra Prabhu from Fiji joining us today. And I don't know him so well, his story, how he became a devotee, and he's a very charming, lovable Vaishnava. And just through this program, I hope to learn more about Ramachandra. And of course, we want to hear about his topic. He'll be talking about transcendental knowledge, lifestyle, and so Ramachandra he's based in Fiji, but he also has taught Krishna consciousness in Australia, where he spent considerable time, Singapore, Philippines, I assume New Zealand also. So, Ramachandra, I would like to ask you what was your life like before you became a devotee of Krishna, and what was your journey to become a devotee before we talk about other things? Can you enlighten us in that regard?
Please, my humble obeisances to all of you. Sarva Prabhu was speaking, I thought he was speaking more about himself with a really charming presence. You asked me, how was my life before I joined Krishna consciousness? In a very blunt way, you can say, from a human being, I came to some civilization. From animal.
Were you born in Fiji? Were you born in Fiji?
Yeah, I was born in Fiji. My father was born in Fiji. So now my grandfathers, they were from India. So then my father was born in Fiji, and I was also born in Fiji. So I grew up in southern side of Fiji in Nausori. And then from Nausori, then I went to school in a government school in Suva. And then from after finishing high school, then I was given a scholarship to do aviation electronics with the Ministry of Transport in New Zealand. So I spent 3 years with studying and training aviation electronics, which is a ground-based navigation and communication system for the airport.
So at this time, did you have any religious affiliation in your childhood?
You know what? It's very interesting, When I was in New Zealand, so I had a car, and every morning and evening I'd pick up two of my friends from Latimer Square in Christchurch. And I'd go to the airport and drop them later in the day around 5:30 or so, in the late afternoon, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And these two guys were staying next to the Hare Krishna Center in Latimer Square. And amazingly, I'd come and pick them every morning and every evening, and I never saw a devotee.
How long did this go on?
This was for many months, over 3-4 months, And then a lot of time I would also spend, I used to go to Christchurch Square. There was a hotel, friends used to go, so I used to also go with them. It was named Noah's, Noahs, the Noah's Hotel. So the bar was on the ground floor, and it was overlooking the Christchurch Square. And the devotees would, they say the devotees used to come and sing and dance in the Christchurch Square. And I was so many times in Christchurch Square, and I never saw a devotee.
Hmm.
I'm still amazed. I never saw any devotee in Christchurch Square. And the people my friends would say, hey, the Hare Krishnas come and sing and dance, they're like, they're on high or something, and I never saw any devotee. And same thing, I used to pick and drop my friends in Latimer Square, which was the Hare Krishna Center in Christchurch, New Zealand. And I never saw a devotee.
Was your family Shivites, or was there any background to your family?
When we were young, we used to, in the Hindus, that they used to, the Indians like do puja, they do puja, what is called Satyanaran Katha. And also they would sing Ramayana, with the people on Tuesdays. Throughout Fiji, they sit and with some musical instruments, harmonium, kartal, and drums, they'll sing the Ramayana, I think mostly written by Tulsi Das, and we used to sing Ramayana, but I never knew who was Lord. We just, do it as a ritual.
Hmm.
So many people from Indian background, they sing Ramayana, read Ramayana, but they think that Lord Shiva is the Lord, Supreme Lord. And I never ever thought about that. We will just do it as a religious ritual. That's all.
So you kept missing the devotees.
Yeah. Then after finishing my training in New Zealand, I came to Fiji. I mean, I was working at Nandi International Airport, for looking after the navigation and communication system. So one day I went to this town, and that time I kind of had a inquisitiveness. I'd go to the town, and I'd look through the religious books in a bookshops, and I bought one Bhagavad Gita translation by some English or American, I don't know. His name was Frawley, some Frawley. That was his surname. And I read through it, and it didn't make sense to me. Then I was just curious about religion, so I bought one book which was on Zen Buddhism. And I read that book, and it didn't make sense to me. I couldn't make head and tail out of that. Then another time I was going through the bookshop, and then I saw Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, the full version, Macmillan print. That time I didn't have money, and I saw this book. I was very fascinated. Then next day I came back to town, drew money from the bank to buy this Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, which was a Macmillan print. And I started reading that book, and then I would always, whenever I would go, I'd keep this book, because I also was attracted to the Sanskrit, the original verses that were there. I thought I'd learn some Sanskrit through this as well. Then one day I went to my brother's place, and I forgot that book. And for many months, this book was not with me. Then I left Nandi Airport, and I left the job there, and then I joined Fiji Electricity Authority as a training officer, electronics and telecoms. So I was working there, and then I had good friends with me who were in the electrical training section, in the mechanical and linesman and management and accounting, so many things. Then one of my colleague who was an electrical training officer, he was from Australia. So he had finished his 1 year, he was on a tour for 3 years, but he finished 1 year, and he got a new job, and a better job in Australia. So he was going on leave, yearly leave, and he had no intention of coming back. So before going, he was giving away different things. And he gave me one Prabhupada's abridged version Bhagavad Gita, and he gave me Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, second volume. So I took the books, and I looked through the pages and the pictures, and I was interested, what is in here? So I started reading the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, second volume. So when I was reading, every now and then Srila Prabhupada would say, one should read Bhagavad Gita first, and after reading Bhagavad Gita, one should read Srimad Bhagavatam from the beginning. But I kept reading, and then the Prabhupada made this statement again. Then I closed that book and I went back to the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the abridged version, and I started reading it. And I read. I couldn't understand all of it, but I found this knowledge was very unusual and very fascinating. So I kept on reading like a storybook. I kept reading. So wherever I would go, I'd keep this book with me. And then I went to Australia. While I was in Australia, in Melbourne, that's when I finished reading this Bhagavad Gita as it is, the abridged version. When I finished reading the book, oh boy, I was astounded. I was saying, what an extraordinary book it is, and the knowledge that it contains. And it really caught me, And then I thought, then it says that one should read Srimad Bhagavatam afterwards. So then I thought, okay, I'll read Srimad Bhagavatam, but I didn't have any because I had second volume. So when it came to Fiji, then I asked Janaki to go. One day we were walking around the roads of the streets of Lotoka, and then we saw the temple. We went and walked up to the temple and saw one big painting being done. We looked through, but never entered the temple, but walked away. Then I sent Janaki to go and fetch the first canto, first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. So she went, and there was no one in the temple to help her out. So they said, you go and talk to one devotee. He works in his father's shop. His name is Nand Kishore. So she went looking for his shop, and they found Nand Kishore. And then he said, I don't have the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, first volume with me today. You come tomorrow. So she went the next day and got the first canto, first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then I started reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first volume.
Who is Janaki?
Janaki was my wife.
Okay, we'll talk about her later.
Yeah, so then I thought, oh, the teachings and the discipline are very strict, not easy for people who are in a situation like householder to follow. I thought, even though I cannot, follow all this knowledge properly right now, at least I'll keep reading the books. So I just started reading the books, and I kept reading. So I read the book so much that Janaki was also surprised. It's what's in this book, because I read in the morning, I go back to work, and I'll come back for lunch at home, and again I would read, and then go back to work. In the afternoon I would come and again read. So when I would go away, she would take the book and read it. She wanted to know what's inside this, has captivated me so much. And then she said, I used to read the books and I couldn't understand anything. Then what happened then, later on, Janmashtami came. There was an advertisement in the newspaper in Fiji that the Hare Krishnas are going to take out a float. So when we saw this advertisement, we went to the roadside, the route that was given, to see what float is. Yeah, they are taking out. And we stood by the road. It was a bit away from the temple. So the float was supposed to come and go past us. But the float went the other way. The float went the other way. Then we walked to the temple, to see when the float comes back, we'll see what's there, Then the float came back much later, and then the Srila Gurudev was sitting in there in the float, and the devotees were sitting. They were chanting Hare Krishna and doing kirtan, and some of them were standing, and so their float came back. So then we saw all of them got off the truck on which the float procession had taken place, and they went inside the temple. And then Damodar, there was a devotee from USA who was in Fiji at the time. He was preaching, Damodar Das. So Damodar Prabhu saw us, and he came and started talking to us. So and he asked us something. He said, "Why don't you come in the evening? We have a program, it's a Janmashtami program." So we went back home, and then in the evening we came again to the temple. Then Srila Gurudev had a lecture. In the lecture he was speaking about Krishna and all these things, but now this was all new to us, so a lot of things we couldn't gather fully. But he said, late in the night, at around midnight, we are going to have a very special ceremony. It is called Abhishek, which is bathing of the Lord Krishna. He says, whoever sees this ceremony, they'll never take bath in this world. So we stayed all the way till midnight just to see the bathing ceremony. And once the bathing ceremony was completed, then we left. We didn't know that afterwards there's no other program, that the kirtan and there's food will be served and all this. So we just saw the ceremony and we left. And then before we left, Damodar said, he said, why don't you meet the Guru? He has come here. Why don't you take time and meet the Guru? So he made appointment for us to meet Srila Gurudev the next day. So next day, we came and met Srila Gurudev, and he talked to us for quite a bit of time, about 40-45 minutes,
Oh, Srila Gurudev was Tamal Krishna Maharaj, right?
Yeah, Srila Gurudev Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. It was at Jagannath's place, Jagannath Prabhu was the in charge there, temple president there, So then he said, okay, he asked me, you are reading book? I said, yes. Then, yeah, Janaki, what are you reading the books? Or no? She said, I tried reading the books. He said, and the books, I couldn't understand anything, as if my consciousness, the mind is covered. And he said, then I left reading the book. Then she said that then because I could not understand the book, so whenever I'd read the book, she'd come and burn, incense nearby just for the good smell. So she'd place the incense near me and I'd read the books. And it went on for a while. Then after a while, sometimes she said, I again went to read the books. And then she said, suddenly I could understand the message to some degree. He said it felt like some kind of fog lifted from my consciousness, and I could understand the book. And she asked, why is that? That I was before I couldn't understand, and now I could understand the message a bit. Sri Gurudev told her that when Ramachandra was reading these books, and you used to come and put the incense near him, Krishna took it as devotion, and he uncovered your consciousness so you can understand this knowledge. So he said that this knowledge is understood by getting mercy of Krishna. By his grace, you can understand this message. So then Srila Gurudev, after talking to us, he said, okay, I encourage you to chant this mantra, the beads. So Jagannath brought 2 beads and gave it to us. So he said, then showed us how to chant the mantra. So we took the beads and left, and then Jagannath invited us again the next day. So we went to again meet Srila Gurudev, and then Srila Gurudev greeted us, and we sat down, and then he talked for a while, and then he said, how many rounds did you chant? So we said, oh, we chanted 2 rounds. And he said, that's all? That's all? The whole day you chanted only 2 rounds? So we became a bit ashamed that we were expected to chant more. Then from the next day we started chanting 16 rounds, and that's when our Krishna consciousness life actually started.
Oh, amazing.
So then, what's that?
You got a good start.
Yeah, from the very next day we started chanting 16 rounds every day. Then some devotees came, met us, the Nankishore Prabhu and Parshuram Prabhu, and we had many questions to ask, and and I was, because I was from a scientific background, and So and different kinds of logic and reasoning and scientific understanding was bothering me. So I asked them many questions, and everything I asked, they answered for me. Then I could see that there are answers to everything in this program. Then we started also, we learned how to offer the food and started offering food. And first we were not offering food. Then what happened then? We were still eating onion and garlic. So one day Janki cooked food, and we had the food, and then she said, "Did you find any difference with the cooking today?" And said, "No, I didn't find any difference." She said, "You sure?" He said, "Yes, you didn't find any difference." She said, "I cooked everything today. There was no onion and garlic." And I was surprised because we we had tasted these items, and then when we ate the food, we didn't find any difference. So since we could not find difference from then on, we gave up onion and garlic and started cooking without onion and garlic and offering the food.
So what led you? Did Srila Gurudev Tamalkrishna's leave Fiji at some point?
Yeah, so then 2 weeks later, there was another initiation ceremony on Radhastami Day. So we also went to just see what ceremony it is. We were there, and some devotees got initiated, and some got second initiation. And so after that, Srila Gurudev left, and he asked us to keep in touch. We can write to him, and he will also answer us any things that's bothering us. So I wrote to Srila Gurudev several times, and now got answer from him. And then this was in Janmashtami 1981. This was Janmashtami 1981. Then I was thinking, I thought that the way, to follow this process, maybe, I might take up Krishna consciousness in 10 years, or maybe, then I was reading, I was thinking maybe 5 years. Then I was thinking maybe in 3 years. Then, since I was following everything, when Sri Gurudev came again next year, this was in May of 1992, and I was supposed to go to Switzerland for a special training for my work. And I was thinking, right now, how will I manage when I go back? And where is the temple? And if I get initiated and go, how will I'll manage with food and other things? So then in the May, I did get initiated. Then in about June, July, I left for Switzerland. And at first I went to Switzerland, and there was, this company had a big hotel of their own, where the visiting engineers and trainees would come and stay while in training there. So I stayed in their hotel, and we were given a place to stay, and they had a restaurant where we were given coupon to go and eat. So when I went to the restaurant to eat, and I saw there was no vegetarian item there. Then I asked the person who was in charge of the food there. I said, I'm a vegetarian, so I need vegetarian food. So he arranged then with the cook to serve me vegetarian food. So he brought me a big platter of just different kinds of salads and raw vegetables and all this. And on top of that, he took a boiled egg and sprinkled it all over. And I saw this, I thought, my God, I don't think I can manage here. Same day, I pick up my luggage, everything, and I went to Zurich temple and asked them if I can stay there. So there was the Gaura Lila Prabhu, who was Harikesh Maharaj's disciple. He said, yes, you can stay here. I said, and you can give us some donation for your stay here. So then I stayed for for 10 weeks in Zurich temple while I was in training in Zurich.
Beautiful.
And then there was very nice devotees. It was a very good experience for me, seeing all the devotees. They were so inspired, they used to, every weekend they'd come to the temple and load up their Volkswagen Vans and pull with books and take dry bread and cookies and all these things. This was their food while they were away. And they're very austere. And I asked some of the devotees, "How do you manage out there?" He says, "Where do you take your bath?" He says, "Some of us sleep in the Volkswagen van, and others we sleep, in the park." And he said, "In the morning we just splash ourselves with the water from the fountains and take bath." And it was so cold those days, in the morning time in Switzerland. But when I saw them, then I saw that what we think is austerity is nothing compared to what other devotees are doing elsewhere,
Beautiful.
And the devotees used to sell so many books. Now they were, and so they'd bring so many Lakshmis. I was amazed. All these devotees, Harinam, Nanda, and etc. They were just there joined, and they were doing brilliant sankirtan there.
Yeah, we've had Navina Nirada on this
Yeah,
program.
Navina Nirad was there, Harinamananda was there, and all these devotees were there during that time, in Switzerland. And
You
Rohini Sutta Prabhu was their leader.
got some
And
good association.
also the Prabhu who has become a sannyasi was named Bhakti Abhaya Swami, or his name was Avinash, Avinash Nanda Prabhu, something like that.
I'm not sure.
And while I was there, I was there because we needed all the kinds. So I was collecting all kinds of kirtans and lectures, all these things, to take with me back to Fiji. And there was some devotees also from Germany. There was one bhakta from Germany. He was very interesting boy. He was under 18. So in Germany, you cannot join any society or group or religion unless you are over 18. So I was talking to him. I said, I asked this boy, I say, "So you are staying here. When you go back?" He says, "I'll go back when I'm 18. So then his parents cannot put pressure on him. So I asked him, I said, "When you will be 18? And he gave me a very unusual reply. He said, "In the end of October, my body will be 18 years old." I said, people say I will be 18, because he read Srila Prabhupada's book. He was so specific about in a way how he stated. He says, "In uh, end of October, my body will be 18 years old." And I had a good laugh. I said, he's being very precise how he expresses what he's saying.
So you eventually got initiated, you and your wife both?
Yeah, we got initiated in May of 1982.
And can you say something about your wife? I heard that she passed away.
I think compared to me and her, she was far more devoted than me, no? She was very, very devoted, very, very dedicated. And since the time we joined, she started going out on Sankirtan with Krishna Lila, with Jagannath's wife, and Krishna Mai. Krishna Mai is one lady who stays in Vancouver, and she still stays in Vancouver temple till now.
Yes.
Yeah, so they three of them used to, if anyone else would want to join them, they take with them, and they used to go village to village, house to house. And for this, for Krishna Lila, this was no ordinary thing. Now she was a very successful businessman's wife, who was a multimillionaire. And yet she used to go house to house, selling books, because
But,
Prabhupada wanted us, Gurudev wanted us, they do it for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna.
was she European or Indian?
My wife was Australian, so this is why when we came to the temple, then Damodar saw that because she was, out of the flock, so he started speaking to her, and and invited her to come and participate in the program. And then later on, she developed, breast cancer, and so when she was tested, so that she, hey, there's what did they call them? The blood filter.
Liver?
No, no, not liver. Mm, I don't
Lymph
remember.
node.
Kidney.
Lymph node. Lymph node.
Kidney.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is called?
Lymph node.
Kidney.
Lymph node, right? Lymph node. So they found traces of cancer cells in the lymph node. So they knew that it probably has spread to the rest of the body. So then we were waiting, and then we saw that some signs were there that the cancer was spreading to other parts of the body. Then Srila Gurudev asked her to, go to Dallas. So she came to Dallas. She was, in Dallas. She did Sankirtan, did a lot of painting sales, and saved as much as she could. And I was in Fiji, and she herself and Kalindi and Madhava were there. And she used to say that, we used to go out in the Sankirtan, sell the paintings. He said, we come back so blissful. He said, it feels, so wonderful. And so, she was very, very dedicated. And one time she was hospitalized. And while she was hospitalized, the doctors were trying to take a tissue sample of her breast. And the doctor, without, putting her under anesthesia, he put up wire and pulled the tissue, she was extreme pain, And then she said, it was so painful. And then she stayed in the hospital. They were treating her with the chemotherapy and all that. She lost her hair, everything. And later on, she came back to the temple. So when she came to the temple, she had lost her eyes as well by the now she had the chemotherapy. She lost her hair. She lost her vision as well. And she said, I want to go and greet the deities. So then she was wheeled in a wheelchair, through the back of the temple, which is at the door near the main door,
Yes.
Yeah, so wheeled her into the temple. So she was far away from the deities, and right in the back door, where the entrance of the and as soon as she entered, she said, "Stop, stop, stop!" And she stopped everybody. Then she became quiet, and she became, uh, like stunned. And she was like this for quite a bit of time. And then Kalidias says, "Mom, whatever you looking at?" Then she said, Radha and Kalachin ji uh, uh, came onto the temple floor and they were dancing. I was watching that.
Wow. Beautiful. Wow. Amazing.
So, I thought from all this, I knew that she was far, far more, advanced than me, And because she was so dedicated, she was not afraid to sacrifice and, surrender to the Lord.
So she came to Dallas to get medical treatment, but she was doing service.
Yeah, she was serving while she was there, as much as she could do,
And your
And
job
then when
kept you in Fiji at that time?
I was in Fiji, and then when her health deteriorated a lot more, then around just before Kartik in 1985, Srila Gurudev asked her to go to Vrindavan. and he asked me to go and look after her while she's there. So from Fiji I went to Bombay, and from Bombay I went to Delhi and waited, and around in the night time about 1 o'clock or something the flight came, and she came, and then we were taken overnight. We stayed one place, and next day we went to Vrindavan. The day we arrived in Vrindavan was the beginning of Kartik in 1985.
Beautiful. Wow.
Then she stayed throughout Kartik. She was there, and after Kartik, about 4 or 5 days later, then she left her body.
So it was pretty quick that she departed.
Yeah, it was very unusual. Yeah. So she spent the whole of Kartik, in Vrindavan, 1985.
Wow.
Then I was there. We cremated her body and all that. Had the program, and then I stayed back. Srila Gurudev asked me to stay in Vrindavan. So he said, "You do puja for me," because those days the Samadhi Puja was done by different gurus who were that time in charge. So Srila Gurudev then came to do the puja in Prabhupada's Samadhi in Vrindavan from beginning of January. Then a devotee from San Diego came. His name was, or he was in Dallas at that time. His name was Pavamana Prabhu.
Yes.
Then Pavamana Prabhu and myself, we did Prabhupada's Samadhi Puja for the next 2 months. So Pavamana Prabhu was a bit sickly. He had poor digestion. And after eating, he used to, eat many kinds of digestive powders to digest the food. So because of his health, so then I was given the task to do the puja in the morning and in the evening, which is the coldest part of the day. This is winter in Vrindavan. It was very, very cold. And being from Fiji, I am from a tropical country. I was afraid of cold. But because I was forced to do puja at that time, and I had no choice. It will be so cold. I just clench my fist and my teeth, and I jump in the shower, in the cold shower. It'll be so cold, And it actually helped me a lot. In fact, during that time, taking shower in the cold and doing the puja in the cold, I lost fear of cold. We have many kinds of fear. You can have fear of cold, we can have fear of heat, we can have fear of rain and wind, and all kinds of, finance, you name it, So that time, it was so cold, I just used to jump in the shower, and have and sometimes while I was doing the puja, because in Vrindavan you get upset stomach, I had to take a break from the puja and go again, take shower and come back again and do the puja, So I used to be out from 3 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the morning. I would be out in the cold for 6 hours.
Wow.
And sometimes it was so cold, I tell you, Prabhu, I'd be, holding the doorknob, of the DT room, or, and I could see myself holding the knob, but I couldn't feel it.
Wow. Anyway, Krishna was really putting you through a very purifying experience.
Oh yeah, it was very purifying experience. Very unusual. And some of the experience I did, it was like experiencing Prabhupada at that time, And while I was doing the puja, what happened every morning, they make the plate. There were Vibhu Chaitanya Prabhu, old Bengali devotee, was in charge there. He alone used to cook everything for the deities, or make all the sweets all throughout the day. And and then I saw no one except him cooking all the time. I said, Vibhu Chaitanya, no one. He said that someone can sometimes help me with cut the vegetable, but I do everything, he said. and said, I said, you're doing all this every time. I said, when do you chant your rounds? Then he told me a story. He said, one time Prabhupada came to Vrindavan. He said, I was cooking all the time for Krishna Balram, Radha Sham Sundar, and Gaur Nitai. And I said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, can't chant my rounds. And Prabhupada said, why? He said, I'm cooking for the deities so much, making things. He said, I don't get time to chant my rounds. Then Prabhupada said, what do? You don't chant your round. You keep singing and cooking, all those singing will be your chanting. So he used to always sing Srila Prabhupada's melodies, Hare Krishna mantra, and that was his chanting.
Mm.
And then I used to come in the morning time, when I would take the offering for Srila Prabhupada, I'd see that all the other plates were one kind and Prabhupada's plate was different. Prabhupada's plate was same as other deities' plates, but he had one set of preparations which was different. He had one bowl of spicy soupy potatoes and puris. So one day I saw, when I was ready to take the thing, I didn't see the soupy potatoes and the puris. So I said, Vibhu Chaitanya, where's the soupy? There's be one more preparation here. He said, now time is up for offering, you take it. So I took the offering for offering, So when I was ready to make the offering, I did all the purification, did the mantras and all that. I was ready to make the offering, And then my left arm started twitching, I said, this indicates that I should not be doing something, So, but I'm making offering. It is time is up for the Lord's offering. So how can I be doing anything wrong? But my arm was twitching like hell, Then I stopped offering. And then I stopped and I walked back to the Prabhupada's deity in the back. Then I was thinking, why Krishna is indicating I should not be doing the offering? But my time is up for offering. Then I went again to wanting to offer. Then again my arm started twitching. Then I was thinking, why this, indicates I should not be doing this. And then I walked back to the back of Srila Prabhupada. Just then, someone knocks on the door. I open the door and, Bhagajji's servant had the puri and the potato, spicy potatoes, sabji for Srila Prabhupada's offering. Then I realized this. Then I offered that, placed it in the plate and offered it, and I come back and I asked Bhikkhu Chaitanya, I said, where does this come from? He says, Prabhupada liked the Bhagatji cooking very much. And so he said, every day, whatever you cook, you also bring it and offer to me. So since then, it was a practice that whatever was cooked at Bhagatji's place was also placed in Srila Prabhupada's plate, the two puris and the spicy potato sabji. And it was offered every time all the way until the Bhagatji himself passed away.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, no, that was, it was such a wonderful experience, I tell you. And the day I was leaving, I was finishing the puja in Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi Mandir. And I was praying to Prabhupada for, for his mercy and all that now it was, thank you for so much service, and prasad as well. The pujaris had the right to take some of the offerings, the prasad as well, no? And it was so tasty. Bhikkhu Chaitanya used to cook very, very wonderful gulab jamun, rasgulla, rabdi, and you name it, and ras malai, halwa. His halwa was so tasty. Every time, he used to cook, it was so perfect. You could eat as much as you like, So we had the right to take the prasad, a small amount for ourselves as well. And the time I was leaving after all this, and I was praying to Srila Prabhupada, just as I was leaving, ready to leave, then someone played Samsara Davanala on the loudspeaker in the temple. And I tell you what, the Prabhupada's singing was so powerful and so ecstatic, my heart melted, I thought, Prabhupada himself, by this singing is, inspiring me and farewelling me from this service for so many weeks. It was such a wonderful experience, bro. I tell you, it was amazing, amazing.
It's what I find is amazing is that you lost your wife, and yet Krishna arranged for you to do this very sort of intimate service for Prabhupada, and it seems like it kind of helped your heart adjust to a very dramatic change in your life.
You know
Is
what?
that true?
I took it that this is all blessings of, whatever is happening is blessings of Krishna. You know what? During that time when Janki was sick there, so there was one person. One person, when Babaji came. So before she passed away, when Babaji came. So when Babaji came, went inside the Krishna Balaram temple and greeted the Lord, Gaur Nitai, Krishna Balaram, and Radha Shyam Sundar, and then came out. And so she was lying on a stretcher in front of the guest house. And then we were thinking what to do, because now her health was going down and going down. We wanted to improve her health, and so she was wrapped, in warm chadars, everything. And so the Babaji came and took her pulse, took her pulse, and then he said, in 1 hour she will recover fully. The Babaji says, in 1 hour she will recover fully. I was thinking, wow, that's a good news. And then after 1 hour, she passed away. Then I was thinking, what is this? Then Babaji said that in 1 hour, she will recover fully. Then I asked another Brajbasi, he said, what does this mean? He says that in 1 hour, when he meant she'll recover fully, means she will leave her body and enter Vrindavan Dham. Then she will no longer have to take birth in this world. So then she said is that her bhav rog will be over. Her, accepting another body will be over. He says fully recover means to leave your body and not take another body anymore.
Well,
when the Brajabasis and the Babajis speak, when they say you will fully recover means you don't take material body.
amazing. Yeah. So then you went back to Fiji. I take it at some point you stopped your normal job and became a
When I
full-time
went
priest.
back, that was 19. That was 1985. That was, but I had left my job in 1984 while Janki was still in America. So I left my job in 1984. And so I started preaching with the devotees in Fiji.
So you've been a brahmachari since that point?
Yes, I've been going everywhere. It was some say, okay, it's a sacrifice, but I never felt like a sacrifice. I thought it's an opportunity to be able to save Lord Chaitanya's wonderful mission. Only thing I regret is that when we try to save Lord Chaitanya's mission, a lot of time our own system puts a lot of obstacles, not outside people.
Yeah. 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 I see. I know what you're talking about. Devotees can be our greatest encouragers. They can also.
Oh, devotees can kill your the will to even do anything at all. Yeah, demons might kill you once, your body or something, but devotees can kill your will to do things. Therefore, you'll find that some of the people who are really exceptional leaders, They know how to inspire people. You know, a lot of time I find that people in different places I've seen, people who are leaders, they surround themselves with yes men. And this is a big problem. And Prabhupada said quite the opposite. You know, he said, you know, it's better to have a intelligent opposition or an enemy than a fool as a friend.
Good point.
And Bhakti Siddhanta said the same thing. He says, one who praises me is my enemy, one who criticizes me is my friend. But in reality, we experience quite the opposite, you know, in our system.
Anyway, so you had the background in science, and one of the things you were going to talk about, I mean, I think it's wonderful that we've gotten to hear your story, and I can really, you know, I'm very impressed with it, your experience in Vrindavan and the way that you seem to accept your wife's passing in a very Krishna conscious way. But maybe you could briefly, maybe I could ask if any of the devotees that are watching have any questions for you. There are some devotees here like Krishna Kripa, Indra who probably was in Dallas when your wife was there. Maybe they could have some comments or questions.
I think, Sarva, you might remember, you know, one time when I came, you know, we went to Louisiana and Arkansas and Oklahoma when Srila Gurudev asked us to go meet our life members and our congregation, you know, in the neighboring states.
Yes, I remember traveling with you.
Yeah, yeah, remember? And then when you talk about scientific preaching, so you remember we went to Arkansas where those South India boys were staying, Nagaraj and Natarajan, or one of them was there
Yes.
in the Arkansas State University.
Yes.
The day O.J. Simpson was arrested. You remember we were watching, you know, the TV? Yeah. So and then you cook the pasta and halwa and we made juice, and then the boy that I think it was Nagarajan, you know, or not, he called his professor, Professor Sharma. He says, you know, we would like to meet you and share some of our knowledge, our books, how we have some of our visitors have come. And then he said, yes, over, come over. And then we went with all the food with them to, you know, share with them. You remember?
Vaguely, your memory is probably
Okay.
better than mine.
So, okay, it was a very funny incident. So we went to meet them and you know, share our food and you know, have some discussion. So while we were talking and discussing, you know, the professor at one point said, he said, there is no God. The professor said, I don't know how, you know, the spare moment. So suddenly he said, there is no God. As soon as he said this, you know, my feeling, you know, hit the roof, you know. Then I asked the professor, I said, Professor, you, for you to say that there is no God, that means you know, have studied all the, and you know all the energies and the phenomena that exist in the universe. For you to say there is no God, you must have studied and you know all the phenomena and energies that exist in the universe. And if you do not know all the phenomena and energies that exist in this world, universe, then you should make a guarded statement that as far as our research and study goes, we have not found anything like God. And I said this to, and the professor was stunned, you know. For about 5, 6, 7 minutes, you know, there was dead silence. No one would speak. Then we broke the ice and we spoke to him, and then finally coming away from there, you know, we gave him Sadaputa's mechanistic and non-mechanistic science, and I think Origins magazine and some other books and all that. So, and then after we came away, about several weeks later, the professor actually drove all the way from a concert and came to our Dallas temples.
Yeah.
Because he was from pious background, he knew what I had said was true. That, even if you are atheist, until you have until you know all the phenomena and all the energies in the universe, you have no right to make a claim that there is no God.
Yes. You said it with great realization, but it's also logical.
Huh?
It's logical.
Logical, yeah.
And you said it with great realization and, determined, you had the faith yourself. So it affected him.
What's that?
Anyways, Krishna Grib, are you there? His name is there, but I don't know if he's. So
I can say some Hare Krishna, Ramachandra Prabhu, and everyone. Please accept my
Hare
obeisances.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Jai, all Gurti this is Indranila here. I'm not going to
No,
put the video. Sorry.
it's a great
because
honor to have all of you.
Thank you. So nice to
participate.
see you, Prabhu. I'm in bed. I tested positive with COVID, but it's not too bad. I feel like having a flu right now. So, but I am a bit of a mess. My image, like I'm in bed.
Don't worry.
But I just wanted to hear you because, of course, I have so many fond memories with your wife, Janaki Mataji, when she came to Dallas, and she was such an example. I mean, she did service. She sold paintings till the last moment she could, till she just couldn't anymore. And she, I always remember her being such an inspiration. She had such a guru nishta, such a desire to please Srila Gurudev. And she was very peaceful, how she went through her last whatever times she had, like very surrendered to Krishna's will. And I remember with Mother Chandravali going to the hospital to sing she would especially request sometimes for us to come and sing Lord Nrsimhadeva's prayers. Oh, what happened? 1 second. You can all hear me?
Yeah.
Decline. Yes, I got a call and all of a sudden it went away. Anyway, and she would request for Mother Chandravali and I to go and sing Lord Nrsimhadeva's prayers. So we went to the hospital once when she was there, and then also in her final days when she was staying at this house in the community. And she would say that she could see actually Lord Nrsimhadev. She had a vision of Lord Nrsimhadev while we were singing. She had these visions, these spiritual visions, as you said, Ramachandra Prabhu, of seeing Radhakala Chanji dancing. She was just really very advanced soul. And anyways, I just have very nice memories of her, and I wanted to share that with you. She was a very special person.
One time, someone was saying to Prabhupada, he says, there are any pure devotees? And Prabhupada said, all our devotees are pure devotees. Actually, so many devotees in our society who are serving sincerely. Many of the devotees are all going back home, back to Godhead.
Wonderful. Yeah, you can see how, just from the service she did, Gurudev was right next to her, giving her that faith and that strength till the last moment.
Right. Yeah, when I was in Vrindavan, I was looking after her. She was so simple. She used to behave like, childlike, She had, given up everything. She was totally dependent on others taking care of her, and she was making no effort. She was completely surrendered.
Right. Totally. Yeah, she was very peaceful, very, like you said, very surrendered to Krishna's will, and because I imagine that when that time comes, there could be so many things crossing one's mind, fears, doubts, but she was really fixed in Krishna's meditation.
Thank
This
you.
is why, so even if though sometimes, we might be faced with difficulty, I'll tell you one incident. One devotee was once confiding to me. He says, Prabhu, these are the family man, he says, Prabhu, he says, sometimes, I feel like committing suicide, when devotee said this to me, I said, Prabhu, how do you come to this, the mood? He said, I told him, I said, if you want to commit suicide, don't commit suicide in this Kali Yuga. You might take commit suicide in some other Kali Yuga, but don't commit suicide in this Kali Yuga where Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda have appeared. I said, this is very, very exceptional mercy in this age. I said, even if you want to commit suicide, no matter how difficult it gets, humiliation or, whatever, difficulty or troubles. I said, face up to everything, but don't commit suicide in this Kali Yuga. I said, that will be the worst suicide you can commit.
I see Krishna Creeper's there. Maybe he could say hello to you.
What would you like me to talk about, Sarva? Oh, wait, Ramachandra's there. Hey, Ramachandra. What's up?
Bye, Prabhu.
Long time no see.
I'm just here to gain your blessings.
Good luck with that. I'm just sitting here. I got my whole setup with the computer on the TV. We're just leaning back on the couch, eating pizza and laughing at you.
Oh. When you're
All
like that,
the stories,
when you're like that in the couch, you must have enough prasad on your side as well.
Yes. Anyway, we actually somehow, Sarva, we tend to get a hold of each other various times during the years. And always we're trying to help each other out, get a little further ahead in one way or another. Anyway, good. Everything's going well for you there?
Well, wherever you can get opportunity to preach, then things are going well. When you lose opportunity to preach, then things are not going well.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of years. We've been preaching only to each other. We have a whole neighborhood. We just walk around and just preach to each other all the time. That's all we get. Can't get out so much. But yeah, you got to come back to America again. Make one more world tour.
I will. Do not worry, Prabhu. Don't want to die quickly. I've got a lot of work to do for Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, I'm dying piece by piece. This is breaking, that one's breaking, this stops working. It's still got a good 30 years left, maybe, before it's all gone.
My desire is to be able to, fulfill Srila Gurudev's desire to set up Mayapur University.
Ah, cool.
So if you know anybody who knows what Srila Gurudev's intention was, what was what he wanted to do, please let me know, because this is what I want to set up, for Srila Gurudev's pleasure,
The probably Bhakti, not Gurukul Maharaj, Bhakti Vidya
Purna Maharaj.
He probably knows as much as anyone, to be honest.
And he said also another, remember, who was who did study in Seattle, what was his name? Prabhupada disciple?
Mukunda Datta.
Mukunda Datta. Someone said Mukunda Datta might know, So if you can get hold of him, please, ask him if Srila Gurudev confided in him about, how he want to set up Mayapur University. And I want to also see, maybe something might be known to Sachidulal Prabhu Agavid, and maybe Hiradayananda Maharaj, Giraj Maharaj,
That's
okay.
True, yeah.
So please, if you meet any of them, please find out, if Srila Gurudev, what he said and how he wanted to do things. They said that someone was saying that Srila Gurudev wanted initially in Mayapur, but then he felt it better to have it in Calcutta with this big population, with a big.
Yeah, all of those people. I mean, Bhakti Vidya Purnamaharaj probably has a better insight into what Gurudev wanted to do there, because he's in charge of the school there anyway.
Yeah. When I get
Also,
to
right, I
when
got
I come across when I come across Maharaj next time, I'm going to ask him. So if you any of you catch him, please ask them for me as well.
I've decided to hibernate until after the pandemic, you know.
Okay.
I'm laying low, not taking any chances, not traveling anywhere. But Mukunda might come back to the States for the summer. He usually in the wintertime he goes to South India.
Who?
Mukunda Datta.
Mokunda. Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, so it's hard to know because he was changing a few ideas of education and college type ideals while he was in school. So he hadn't really had a chance to get out of that situation and start working in a particular direction. So it was really at the point that he departed from the world, he didn't have anything concrete at that point. But everybody was moving in that direction. Sachidula was in college. All these other things were happening. So I don't know if that's where it needs to go right now. But
I spoke to Kalachandji Prabhu, you know, so Kalachandji Prabhu said he did not discuss in detail about, but he did mention that once it is said, he'd like him to come and, you know, be a teacher or lecturer there, you know?
yeah, and you could actually get a hold of Giraj Mars. He could give you at least a touch base where you could start from.
Okay.
And trying to assimilate the different parties that will be involved to make it happen. But I don't know. I haven't been trying to push anything anywhere, at least except myself. But yeah, maybe we can have some big conference when the pandemic ends. I'll meet up in Mayapur and try to get as much information as possible from, because
Okay.
what I've noticed, he talked a lot of different things to a lot of different devotees and disciples, but nobody's got the whole picture, I don't think. And one of his godbrothers would be more likely to have a better picture of it, and Mukunda Datta would be one of those parties also.
Right.
Maharaj and Giriraj Maharaj, they would be the ones I would think would have more to do with it. I mean, Sabra can probably check locally with Ratakdwaja Swami also, because he spent, when Gurudev was ill, Maharaj spent a lot of time with him. So he may also be, again, Sabra could get him on and have him talk about maybe the Mayapur school project or college university there.
Actually, there's a devotee in Oxford, the head of the Oxford Center for Vaishnava and Hindu Studies.
Mm.
He was talking to Gurudev about the college.
Mm.
I heard Gurudev say that the way that he would do the college would be different from what a lot of devotees would expect. So he was talking to this devotee.
Well, that's out of my league.
Yeah.
No,
I could put the bricks and mortar together.
no, it's as long as we can piece by bit by bit, you know, so we can put a picture together and see, you know, which way to go.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We should just have a very big general meeting of disciples somewhere in the world. I mean, he's got his disciples everywhere. I mean,
You know what,
Fiji,
Prabhu,
why don't we do that there?
okay, I'll tell you, Prabhu. You know why I want to do this? Because Srila Gurudev was a peasant who used to do extraordinary things.
Hmm.
Many times you have, you know, gatherings, you know, Vyas Puja, disappearance, all this. We glorify Srila Gurudev a lot. And then, you know, I feel like, you know, we're glorifying, it's fine. But in the process, we are just riding on his coattail, you know. We should be doing something substantial to deserve being Srila Gurudev disciples.
Well, then you're going to have to do a lot more traveling. Start
Huh?
dragging us back in. You're going to have to do a lot more traveling and dragging us into the program.
No worries, Prabhu. I'm ready to do it. I'm said I don't want to die now.
Oh, good. Me neither. I'm going to wait for that. That's going to be the last thing I do in life.
You know what? It is such an important project, you know. Once you set up university, you know, there's so many things, you know, the religious field, Sanskrit, whatever, all our things will be tailored ultimately to understanding Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And then, you know, there's art and craft, drama, so many things. So much so, because we are, vegetarian life and all that. University can also have agriculture, college, everything, film production, all these things, media, all are related.
Well, there's, you know what? I know that another person that wouldn't have been part of the picture then, Keshavananda Prabhu, disciple of Bhakti Vikas Swami. He actually he's a medical doctor and a PhD, and he runs a college up in Chandigarh.
Right.
He opened his own school for preaching Krishna consciousness more than anything else.
Yeah, we can have Maja University, and then we can affiliate with other Maja universities, and other universities run by devotees can be affiliated with us. There's a lot of potential.
Yeah, Prabhu Gauranga, the disciple of Radha Swami, is working. He has in Calcutta. There's the Bhaktivedanta Research Library,
Right.
and Gauranga has already made some. Mumbai, he's has some programs with the Eco Village with Mumbai University. So he's doing more in that area than I think almost any devotee. And the fact that he's also working in Calcutta, he's also involved with the GBC. So I think Gauranga, the disciple of Radhanath Maharaj, would be a very important person for you to connect with.
You see, if you have a research library, it is localized in Calcutta, the potential of the library is not being fully utilized. You have to scan all these things, put them online, so other universities and other colleges run by devotees can access this thing. The more access you give to people, then the more value we gain from setting up things like this. Otherwise, the local Calcutta Research Library is just localized. The knowledge is sitting, like fire in a pot. Doesn't.
Well, in that case, Brahmatirtha should be consulted also. He's in charge of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, which is now based in Alachua, Florida. They just bought one. It was the former president's house, where the president would live when they were there. He just bought this big house, and he's the Bhaktivedanta Institute is headquartered there, and he'd be a good person to talk to. Very dear friend of Srila Gurudev.
Right. Okay.
Huh?
This is very wonderful thing you are telling me, Prabhu. I'll unveil something later on. I'll let you know later. I'm just thinking. I don't want to tell you now. No, like Prabhupada said, if you have to go hunting rhinoceros.
Sure. Yeah, nobody will criticize if you didn't get one. They're hard to hit.
No, we'll get it. Don't worry. Krishna is behind us.
Just surviving a rhinoceros is pretty big. But if you start looking around and start asking around, you'll start getting the answers you need. Krishna always directs us where we're most well.
You know why I'm saying this? While we are here, we do something substantial. So the later generation will say that, okay, they have done a lot of work for us. Now from here we can push onward. Because the more we delay, more the world is becoming more expensive and inaccessible to us,
Sure. I do know. But anyway, let's say it's a good thing. Keep me in touch. Keep me in the loop. I can't guarantee man. I know a lot of people, and I can, if you talk to me long enough, you'll get the whole list of them out of me eventually.
Okay.
I never thought of spending the last years of my Krishna consciousness in an educational institution. I'm a better cook than I'm a scholar, I can assure you.
Then you have to teach your cooking. That's also teaching.
Then you can use it for that.
Teaching never stops. You know that?
Well, we have to think big. We have to think on a grand scale and work from where we can.
You know what? If you are a teacher or preacher and you want to learn something, in education, there is a saying, the best way to learn is to teach.
It's true. That's how I used to get through college. I'd find someone that wanted some tutoring in any particular field, and then I'd go through the whole book with them, Not had really good grades in my final.
When you have to teach, you are forced to learn.
True. When you have to make the presentation, it has to count.
Yes,
Then it's
yes,
true.
yes.
And if you pray sincerely enough, Krishna will give you the ability and the intelligence to look in that direction and make it work. Every single devotee can, in fact, be successful as long as they're doing it for Guru and Krishna and not thinking that they've got a big head and they know how to do all this stuff. But anything is possible from any devotee.
You know what Srila Gurudev used to always say? He says, intelligence is to consult the right person.
Yes.
We don't have to know things. Intelligence means to consult the right person.
Correct.
He said, when you consult the right person, if you are doing right, you can learn how to do that even better. And
Absolutely.
if you are doing it wrong, they can point out and protect you.
Yes, yes. I believe in that. All right. I've got some other things I need to tend to. So
Okay.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you, Sarva, for getting Ramachandra. Ramachandra, thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, bro.
Hare Krishna.
I feel blessed. Right, bro. Hare Krishna. These are my valuable citizens.
Jai Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for coming on. We'll end here, but I think all the devotees who have watched this have enjoyed the presentation. And I don't think anybody would be against trying to help Ramachandra achieve this nice goal. So maybe we can, I have some ideas which I could share with you separately.
Right, bro. Let's keep in touch. Give us all the ideas. Let's pull that together and see, what and how Srila Gurudev wanted to do things. And if we can make this reality, it'd be a great thing.
Okay, and just we'll make some announcements at the end, but thank you again, Ramachandra Prabhu. Next week, we're going to have His Holiness Guru Prasad Maharaj. So if you know any devotees in Fiji that would like to watch, it'll be at 1 o'clock next Saturday, Guru Prasad Swami.
Yeah, I will get other devotees to come and watch. But I'm in Ba. So I'm staying with one bhakta who's in the farm. So I had to come on a conference with you, and then the internet in this area doesn't work. So then I drove into the town, and then I'm sitting in the car park, and I'm using my mobile Wi-Fi and from my car. I'm, participating with all of you.
Anyway, we did get a good signal from you, so thank you for making that adjustment.
Okay, well, thank you very much for.
Anyone that's watching who doesn't normally see these broadcasts, if you leave your email in the chat, we can put you on our.
Okay, where's
email.
let's see the chat. Where's the chat?
It should be at the bottom of your screen.
What's that? Above. Where's the chat? I can't see it. Above the screen. Where is it?
The bottom of the screen.
Oh, bottom. 1 second. Let me see. Chat. Where? Oh yeah, I got it. Okay, I write my email address, and then anyone.
We'll put you
wants
on
to
the
get-
list. We'll put you on the list, and we'll let you know for future programs. Guru Prasad Maharaj will be next Friday, which would be Saturday in Fiji.
Yeah, my email address. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu. We'll let you go now, but we hope to be in touch with you again, and we wish you all the best in all your preaching and all your endeavors.
Okay, right, bro. Wish you all the same, bro.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, we'll let you go now. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Sri Rupa Manjari, who